Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
So, we good? Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Megan Hayes with Appalachian State University. This afternoon, we'll hear reports from Watauga County Director of Emergency Management Will Holt, Town of Boone Mayor Tim Futrell, Appalachian State University Interim Chancellor Heather Norris. We're supported by our government representatives, state representatives, representatives from Watauga County, the town, University Emergency Management, law enforcement, the Boone Fire Department, local power utilities, the American Red Cross, all of whom are here to help answer questions. We'll begin with Watauga County Director of Emergency Management Will Holt.
Hello, good afternoon. So I'm going to read a statement here, and we'll see if we can make it through this. So, thank you for being here today to tell our story and spread the word for Watauga County. This storm exceeded all forecast expectations with total rainfall, river flooding, and in conjunction with tropical storm force winds combined to bring the worst natural disaster in modern history to our county. We are now 5 days into this event, which truly began last Wednesday evening when a stalled cold front brought several inches of rain, strong winds, and even an EF1 tornado to the town of Blowing Rock prior to Helene's landfall. As Helene ripped through the county, the river basins rapidly exceeded their capacity, leading to widespread destruction on their own right. In addition to river flooding, over 20 inches of rain fell over a widespread area, bringing devastation to our infrastructure as the mountains simply gave way under the weight of the wind and rain. Words cannot truly capture the magnitude of destruction as Mother Nature took back her mountains, leaving scars of where roads and homes once stood. We deeply grieve the loss of life and livelihood, not just Watauga County, but throughout the high country as our neighbors in Ashe and Avery counties, Southwest Virginia and Eastern Tennessee all come to grips with what is now our new normal for the foreseeable future. The high country will rebound, our folks are resilient, and the stories of self-determination in the face of incredible odds both break our hearts and make them swell with pride. I'll take questions in just a few moments, but I want to briefly outline some of our response efforts. In the initial hours, 911 took over 2,000 calls for help in the first day of the storm and has maintained a high call volume ever since. Just for reference, an average month sees 3,000 calls. For fire and rescue, all departments in Watauga County, along with the North Carolina Marine Patrol and Manchester, New Hampshire Swiftwater teams engaged in rescues throughout our region. Access, in addition to these departments, crews from North Carolina Forestry, SDR, which is the county and town's debris contractor, North Carolina DOT, and many volunteers have worked to clear the miles and miles of tree debris, landslides, and sinkholes. At time of report, there are still over 200 roads closed in the area, with some of those roads simply not existing anymore. Most areas of the county have been accessed at least by UTV, but we do have areas where teams are still working to hike in on foot, and tomorrow we will have teams starting on horseback. Fatalities. Unfortunately, we do have 2 confirmed fatalities due to landslides, with numerous others injured from direct impacts from the storm or in cleanup operations since. We still have over 11,000 outages on Blue Ridge Energy System, which is a huge improvement over peak outages, which reached over 90% of all customers at the worst point in the storm. For our humanitarian efforts, we have several dozen people sheltered at the Holmes Convocation Center, along with an unknown number of individuals and families sheltered with their neighbors, families, and friends. As we work towards short-term recovery, and I say short-term because we know this is a years-long process, we have worked with many volunteer organizations and state emergency management to begin setting up additional points of distribution for food and water, hot meals, as well as showers, restrooms, and cell phone charging stations. This storm has stretched the capacity of all of our partners, so please understand these efforts are moving as fast as possible. And in an effort to keep our citizens safe and continue to allow for response and recovery operations, we continue to ask everyone to please stay out of Watauga County unless you are called upon or coordinated. Thank you so much to our partners, who at this point are truly too many to count. We are deeply grateful for the support we have received, and we covet your prayers as we begin to rebuild. Thank you.
I'm Tim Futrell, the Mayor of Boone. I first want to thank everyone who is here and members of the media who are helping us spread the word and get information out to folks who are both concerned and want to know what is happening in our area and getting vital information on how they might be able to help, or just some information on what has happened up to this point. We are tired, but we are strong. The last 5 days have been heartbreaking, but the last few days have been heartwarming. They've been just more than I can say, honestly, on behalf of our community. This is nothing of a surprise to us. We know who we are, we know what we are capable of doing, and we are doing that now. We are being good neighbors and good friends, and we are helping each other. You can see us in our yards, you can see us pulling wreckage and trash out of our homes and apartments. You can see us thanking first responders and firefighters. Those are just who are Red Cross members who might be handing out bottles of water. This is a truly unprecedented, as EMS Holt said, truly unprecedented situation here. All of the folks that I have spoken with over the last 5 days they have not seen this in their lifetimes, and I mean people who have generations who are from Boone and Watauga County. I want to thank some of our partners as well directly. I want to thank the cooperation that we have had for emergency medical services and emergency response services between Boone, Watauga County, town of Blowing Rock, and Appalachian State University. Appalachian State University has done everything to help us from providing water to opening the Convocation Center as a shelter for folks who have been displaced. And unfortunately, that is a large number. We did not expect this, and we really did not have a good idea about what would be happening until later on Thursday and into Friday is when we were really starting to see that this was not in fact going to go west as we had hoped it would happen. With all of these things that have happened over the past few days and all of the things that we've seen and heard, I still want to say that we are truly blessed and fortunate. So many others around us are still in great pain, they are displaced, they are hurting, and we are doing what we can to work with our partners in the area to help those as well. I also want to thank members of the General Assembly. Representative Ray Pickett has been integral in getting supplies up here, bottles of water, different supplies, cleaning supplies, non-perishable items. He has also helped us with logistics as far as staging and part of the distribution process. We've been able to work together with our partners with the Watauga school system in conjunction with Watauga County in order to help set up different distribution stations and areas so that people here in Boone and in the surrounding areas as well can go and get supplies and get things that they may need, some vital materials that they may be missing now. Also want to thank members of the state, as Governor Roy Cooper's office, Attorney General Stein's office. They have all been in touch to let us know they are here for us and they support us. And we have also been in communication with members of the Office of the White House. They are here for us as well. And recently we've been able to be in contact with our representative for FEMA, who is in the area and keeping in contact with us to let us know that we are supported in whatever we may need. The Boone Area Chamber of Commerce has been a vital resource to us as well as far as helping with the logistics of volunteerism, supplies, water distribution, things of that nature, helping us stay in contact with our small businesses and our local businesses who are vital to our local economy. They are hurting as well, but they continue to give to their community. And we thank them so much for their sacrifice and what they are able to do in this just tragic time for all of us. I also want to just say a few words to some of the nonprofits and some of the other organizations that we have as well. Samaritan's Purse has been just quickly engaged and on the scene for us. They are helping folks who are displaced as well, or who might need vital assistance with repair or cleaning of their homes. And of course, the Red Cross has been vital in assistance with helping us as far as the Convocation Center and assisting Appalachian State and all of the vital services that they've been providing to us as well. I want to say that the town of Boone's boil water advisory was able to be lifted yesterday. We're very happy to be able to say that. That was contingent on some issues that we were having at the water plant. Those issues have been resolved. We are able to pump water to pressure, and we have run the necessary tests to ensure that our water is safe. We are still aware that we have many areas, and we have at least we have at least a handful of areas in Boone here that are still in need of vital resources. They are still in need of contact water, electricity, sewer, and we have not forgotten them. We know what your situation is. We are working with you. We have been in contact with you. You are helping us spread the word around in your community, and we're doing everything we can to repair and restore those vital services to you as well. And we ask you to continue to reach out as you can, mostly through cell service, which thankfully, again, to Representative Pickett for helping us get those restored. We had, I believe, 3 cell towers restored yesterday, and that was just an amazing thing for us in our community to be able to help those who are in need of contact. Just quickly here to finish, we have an all-hands-on-deck situation. Planning and inspections is currently doing building assessments. Fire and police are continued with public safety work. And public works and utilities are continuing to manage, repair, and restore infrastructure. We have many roads out. We are still going to be under a curfew for the foreseeable future. Tonight, we are extending it from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. This is in an effort to help relieve some stress of our local business and areas and those who have had trouble to get out and able to get necessary supplies. But we are still asking, please come out, get what you need. Please go back to a safe space. Please go back home if you can go back home. We are asking folks to stay off the roads. We can't tell you how appreciative we are for the outpouring of volunteerism, for the outpouring of donations, for the outpouring of all of those who love Boone in whatever way it is that they might. And they are coming in and they are wanting to know what they can do. The best thing you can do right now is to get in touch with some of these organizations that we have that are working on our behalf, on everyone's behalf for the community. We have spvolunteer.org, that's Samaritan's Purse. You can sign in there and look for volunteer opportunities. Boone Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation, App State Disaster Relief Recovery Funds that can help with donations there. And we are asking you, as big as your heart is, the best thing you can do right now is just stay where you are. We don't need, it is not actually helpful for us to have an influx of traffic, an influx of folks who want to see what the damage looks like, an influx of folks who, with the best intentions, want to help in some way, and they're called to come here. But please help in your own way where you are for now, and we will find opportunities for you in the near future. Again, proud of our local business communities. Neighbors helping neighbors. The Boone community, we are good neighbors and friends. We all know each other. We all help each other. That's what we do. And I'll just finish with this. Some of the things I've seen and some of the things I've heard in the past 5 days, I would not wish on anyone. But I want you to know that our community is strong, and we will find a way to come back. We can't see it right now, but we will come back stronger, and I promise you that. So thank you all for all you're doing. Thank you all for all these people here. I cannot thank them enough. And thank you to our community for continuing to be who we are. So thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Norris, Interim Chancellor at Appalachian State University. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. First, I'd like to say we at App State stand with the town of Boone, Watauga County, and the people of Western North Carolina. In the last few days, amidst terrible devastation, we have seen tremendous acts of kindness and humanity. Neighbor helping neighbor, strangers helping strangers. Since before the storm, we have been focused on mitigating the impacts of Hurricane Helene and keeping our university community safe. While we routinely prepare for a number of different types of emergencies, this has been a disaster of monumental proportions. On Thursday, we canceled classes and reduced operations to prepare for the impending storm. By Friday morning, we were seeing significant flooding. The main impact to our campus was unprecedented levels of flooding. We briefly lost power and internet service on Friday, but all residence halls remained structurally sound. By late Friday afternoon, power and internet service had been restored to campus. Several academic buildings have significant water damage, including Walker Hall, Rankin Science Building, Varsity Gym, and the academic areas of Holmes Convocation Center. As we continue to assess and respond to damage on our campus, we are so grateful to the emergency responders, volunteers, and utility providers, and so many others who stand before us for their incredible work. As you have heard, this disaster has been devastating to so many. Widespread lack of power and water, along with significant transportation and communication issues, are affecting our students, faculty, and staff. Some have lost everything. While our classes and all App State events scheduled in the Boone area, including athletic events, remain canceled, we have begun planning for our academic continuity. We are also actively working to support our campus community as well as assist the town of Boone and Watauga County. We are continuing to prepare hot meals for campus and community members at Central Dining Hall free of charge. Since Friday, we have served more than 40,000 meals to anyone who needs them. Wi-Fi is available for the public in Stadium Parking Deck, College Street Parking Deck, Clemens Student Union, and Central Dining Hall, as well as on Sanford Mall. Residence halls and student recreation remain open for students. The university and Red Cross have coordinated to open a shelter in the Holmes Convocation Center. We continue working together with local, state, and national resource providers on establishing support resources for those with longer-term needs. The university, town of Boone, Boone Area Chamber of Commerce, and Watauga County are coordinating on joint messaging to share community resource information. Thank you to everyone who is helping share this information with people who have limited or no communications connectivity. We greatly appreciate those who have contributed to the App State Disaster Relief Recovery Fund. This remains the best way to assist those in the Mountaineer community, and please continue to share our appstate.edu homepage with others who wish to help. We remain so very grateful to everyone who has been able to do whatever they can to take care of their families, their loved ones, their neighbors, and even strangers they don't know. Every effort makes a difference. Thank you.
So as we open the floor to questions, I want to say that we are aware of a few bad actors who are sharing misinformation and attempts to defraud people who may be seeking assistance. So we greatly appreciate those of you who are in the room here today, our media partners, for sharing only information that you vetted and verified. So we greatly appreciate that. So we'll open the floor for questions now. Moss?
Will, I know you guys said this morning there was still an active rescue situation Can you kind of talk about the efforts today and where you guys are now?
Sure. So throughout the day, we're still working in the west side of the county, getting into those. We're off the kind of the main secondaries now and starting getting into those neighborhoods and areas such as that. We have one SAR team, search and rescue team, still here. They're wrapping up their mission today, cutting in, getting to these neighborhoods, and now we're really starting getting into isolated pockets and finding where people are.
Thought what related to that is I've heard from other parts of the high country that the biggest problem they're facing is simply access. That there are isolated communities where the bridges are out, the roads are out, and blocked. Are you finding that here in the time?
Absolutely. So that since the beginning, 200 roads right now, that has come down. I couldn't even begin to say how many roads initially were closed, but at one point, all access to Watauga County outside of US 421 South was closed. As we worked through that, we created emergency access. Our partners created emergency access, and we've kind of built out from our main thoroughfares to those secondaries now into the neighborhoods.
So there's still a lot of unknowns essentially in some parts of the...
There are unknowns, and as I said before, so a lot of times the issues we have are just cutting trees, right? That is not the case in this storm. So we cut trees, but the roads that are simply not existent, or the big holes that are still there, that takes lots of time to repair. DOT has been working around the clock. They're bringing in tractor trailer load after tractor trailer load of gravel. If you go US 421 north, a paved US highway, there's a big gravel patch in it from where the culvert blew out, and they're just making emergency repairs. So even as we make these emergency access, there's going to be construction projects going on long term to make the roads safe for the traveling public. So just want to reemphasize, if you don't have a need to travel, do not, because what the emergent repairs we have are just a hold to get folks that needed access.
You talked about these communities that can't be reached because roads are cut off.
Right.
Do you have any idea how many people exactly are in those communities and unaccounted for at this time?
Right, so we don't have a number of unaccounted for because we've been doing welfare checks, working through that. And when we say limited access for emergency vehicles, some of these folks are hiking out. I'll cite an example, the area of Elton Knob State Park and Meat Camp. Those folks cut a trail through the woods and started coming across fields and UTVs. So, the folks in the mountains were resilient. We're not going to sit and wait. We're going to come and get help where we can get it. So the biggest thing would be access back into those communities for construction and things like that. There are still isolated pockets for sure, and we are still working through a list of welfare checks, which is why we're emphasizing trying to restore communications, because when people can call each other, we can now validate that folks are safe, and we're not putting people in harm's way trying to confirm that. I do want to emphasize, just for both us and our partners throughout the West, no news does not mean bad news. We know that there is almost zero cell service in many of these areas, including our own county right here on the west side, as we work to continue build that back. Even the cell service that's coming back is not up to what we're used to, right? So as much as we can limit use of that, that'll greatly help us as well.
I want to talk more about the cell service.
Sure.
How did that impact your operations, just being completely cut off? And how long were you completely cut off?
Sure. So from a public safety standpoint, we have radios and things like that. Those did have significant issues within them. Fortunately, Watauga County, we did not lose the ability to have 911, unlike some other areas. So while we did not lose the ability to have 911, we did have so many calls that we had a pre-planned route that would go to like Chatham County, somewhere that is not in the emergency area. So we would, the calls would go there and they would give us back that information. We did have points in the storm where the routes to get the information back were cut off. We had 3 layers of backup plan for that, and all 3 of them were compromised. We can only go so deep in the depth chart. We're going to start sending carrier pigeons to Chatham County to get information. So that was a big hurdle for us. Other than that, as we've gone through, the warnings had issues getting out, so we issued emergency warnings, wireless emergency alerts on your phone, things like that. They simply weren't going out because the cell infrastructure was compromised. So there were issues, especially day 1 of the storm. Since we've moved on through that, the biggest issue's been with the welfare checks and getting communication, and then also for our responder community to be able to talk back to us and tell us what needs there are out in these rural areas. So we've relied heavily on the North Carolina Viper radio system and our own radio network locally, and fortunately we have excellent radio technicians that they've worked to keep that system as reliable as possible.
For folks who can't get into town, what does access to healthcare look right now? Are the medical centers in town in full operation? Are there people being sent out of the county in emergency
Sure.
situations?
Sure. So I haven't spoke with UNC Appalachian today as far as what their plan is for opening clinics and things like that. As of right now, they're all closed to outpatient services and kind of those elective procedures. The hospital is fully functional. We are still kind of operating under kind of an emergency situation, so we're capacity is kind of taxed at points, but they're holding their own. They're supporting their sister hospitals around the region. Cannon over in Avery has been definitely hard hit, so supporting that. Samaritan's Purse has set up an oxygen, I don't remember what they're calling, oxygen generating site in front of the hospital. One of our biggest issues is our oxygen dependent patients. When you lose power, you lose your ability to have oxygen concentration at home. So they have the ability to go and sit in that tent at Samaritan's Purse, and have oxygen while they're there. Our partners at Boone Drug have set up a service to where they are able to get oxygen cylinders out. I know a big concern has been returning your empties. So the cylinders have the capacity to be filled, and when they're going out, but we need need to get those cylinders back in to refill them. But that process is working well so far.
The high country is very connected. Actually, Avery been hit very hard, and there's some access points in parts of the county that you can get. You're all of a sudden Ash, all of a sudden in Avery.
Right.
How have you guys been working with those counties, kind of for some of those harder hit areas?
Absolutely. So North Carolina 88, that connects kind of West Jefferson back through to Trade, severely compromised in areas. So there has been some access through US 421 North, back to 67 and 88, back that direction through Watauga County. The towns of Beech Mountain and Seven Devils are obviously they share Avery County and Watauga County. We've been working very closely with both of those, especially Beech Mountain. That's been for days they were completely isolated, no roadway access, no infrastructure access whatsoever. So as messages began to creep out from that town, we were able to respond to that. So I've told everyone the New and the Watauga River basins, they may have their headwaters in Watauga County, but they don't respect geopolitical lines. So wherever we can help our neighbors and help our own, we're going to do it.
Yes, sir. You all talked a little bit about some of the correspondence y'all had with different state and federal agencies. Given the nature of this disaster, what are some of the resources y'all can start to expect to receive from some of those, higher levels of government?
Absolutely. So what we deal with locally is we work with North Carolina Emergency Management, the Regional Coordination Center, which is in the Western Branch in Conover, and they have been in contact, multiple times a day, hourly in some cases during the height of the storm, wherever we could, when communications facilitated that. So whenever we work around and bring in these swift water teams and we bring in all these extra assets, that is routed through them as far as that goes. We activated the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. So that is basically, we have mutual aid county to county. That allows us to bring mutual aid from around the nation. So that brought us the New Hampshire team and things of that nature. That's all done through North Carolina Emergency Management. Working commodities, food, water shipments, all of that stuff is done through our state partners, as well as, the volunteers that, activate to bring those sorts of things.
So we have time for one more question. Let's stay in the back because she hasn't answered.
So the biggest question that we receive is how do we help? And
Right.
this is coming from off of the mountain. So we have folks asking us anywhere from, can I bring a truckload of stuff?
Right.
Can I bring a tractor trailer load of stuff?
Right.
Can I bring 9 tractor trailer loads
Right.
of stuff to you? Where do we tell them to bring these things to? And then what is the plan to further distribute that throughout these hard to reach areas?
Sure. So I'm going to start with how we're going to distribute it out, and then I'll defer to David Jackson on how we're going to, manage donations and things of that nature and all that stuff. So first, in terms of distributing it out to our area, we have what's called a central receiving distribution point. So that's where all of our commodities, water, food come to. That's where the donations come to. David's been great in the Boone Chamber in securing additional warehouses and things like that. So once it all comes to those central points, we then distribute it out in the community. Maybe it's to a point of distribution where the public comes directly to get it. Maybe it's we send formula and diapers to the Children's Council. Maybe, whatever we match the need to, whatever that team matches the need to is how we do that. I will say, as I said before, uncoordinated donations are incredibly harmful. I've worked lots and lots of disasters, and you come back years later, and there's still stuff that's sitting there from the last time there was a disaster. I also ask that do not use this as an opportunity to give us everything you couldn't sell at your yard sale. That is, I say that tongue in cheek, but it happens. So those are kind of my plugs for donations, and I'll see if David has anything else.
Yeah, sure. So the public outpouring has been tremendous. A lot of folks that were connected to Appalachian State back years ago have found ways to reconnect with their community. We are taking that central receiving at the Summit Pickleball, which is in the industrial park. That's 278 Industrial Park Drive. They can take shipping donations as well as tractor trailer access. The good thing is that's in the industrial park, so that infrastructure has been able to be maintained. All of that supply, anything from water, non-perishable foods, some of the needs for children, all of those needs centrally taken to that facility, dropped there, and then we've got a network that, as Will mentioned, are distributing those to some of the other areas throughout the community. So that's everything from pickup trucks full of stuff to semi-trailers full of stuff. If you are interested in coming here, we do ask for some advance notice, and you can contact the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce for that. info@boonechamber.com is the easiest way to get that to us, or our phone number is actually functional now, and that's 828-264-2225. We can then coordinate understanding when those deliveries are going to arrive, and then can make sure that the flow of that traffic is being maintained.
Okay, so we have one more about damage in Boone, and then we'll do one more, and we'll end right here, okay?
So I know you guys have kind of potentially started to assess the damage in Boone. I just wanted to kind of see what that looks like and what you guys are finding.
We are finally starting to be able to exit the emergency response phase and into some of the assessment and recovery phase. So we don't yet have any type of timeline really on it will be days and possibly weeks to come before we find exactly what the full extent of damage is here in Boone. I'm going to ask Jimmy Isaacs, our chief, if he'll come up and elaborate on this a little bit more for us.
They started, I've lost track of days, they all run together now. They started a couple of days to do evaluating structures for structural damage that would be hazardous to people to live in. I think as of date, they've condemned over 111 structures that had significant damage, whether it be from flooding or structural damage in one. They've removed power from a lot of buildings. They have had a couple of buildings that have made some emergency repairs and got power back, but that process is going to be ongoing. There's a lot of area to cover, a lot of places just to be repetitious of. I think one thing that's important to mention when we talk about this aspect of it, you know, with some looting taking place in other places, people are going to be on high alert for that. Just look, the people doing that damage assessment or in the coming days when they're doing damage assessment everywhere for FEMA, we need to be aware that those people will be marked appropriately, so you will know what's going on there.
This goes with damage, and I know it's very early, but can you estimate a dollar amount for the damage?
So I think we're a while away from that. So the damage assessment process, basically we'll take tax records, appraisal records. We have teams out that are, you know, we were hit a little harder in some areas, so our damage assessment really only started today. And they're getting out there and they're assessing quality of the structures. You know, FEMA has a tiered process for evaluating that. And so they'll come back, they'll apply that to the tax records, and we'll get a dollar estimate based on that. And remember, property damage is only a piece of total loss. So we have lost wages, we have lost commerce, we have all of these things that'll come in. So total dollar amount of the disaster is going to be very, very significant. I'd hesitate to even, you know, spitball a number as far as that goes. But hopefully in the coming, you know, weeks, we'll be able to begin to get our heads wrapped around that.
Thank you all for being here today. We appreciate our media partners very much and appreciate the incredible work of this group that's here with us today. So we'll end now. Thank you.